Hello, my name is Fiona Bingo and I'm going to present to you about design thinking process, in which I presented it on my website, but I need to explain to you what is it about. So have fun listening to me and you'll learn a lot. Thank you. So on this second slide, we have the outline. So under the outline we have design thinking, key concepts and steps in design thinking process, problem addressed, application of principles of design thinking in the creation of the solution, questions about the solution that need to be answered, responses to any questions or challenges the audience might have, reflection about my experience in using the process. Then we still continue the outline, and the last one will be the website tour. So on this slide, I'm gonna discuss about the key concepts and steps of design thinking process. So there are 5 key concepts under design thinking. We have empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So let me explain each and every step in this process. So the first one is empathize. This one means that someone should push away their own problems, but they have to consider the problems of others. So they need to push away, maybe if they have a situation, they need to put it aside and then try to solve the problems of others. And for define, after they have observed the problems that people are facing, they can now come with a point of view. By the point of view, this means that the real problem that their users are facing. And then the third step is ideate. So for ideate, this is where the person comes up with brainstorm different solutions. These solutions can be used by the users in order to solve that problem. So ideate is a good part for brainstorming a lot of solutions which can be tried out. And then for prototype, this is where one has already chosen one possible solution which can be given to the end users to try it out. So prototype is a physical thing which can be used to try out that can help people. And then for test, this comes up because after people have already tried out, they have to come up with a feedback or something which can be able to help improve that prototype that was given. So this can enable a researcher to be able to know what they can do to improve the solution that they had made. Or maybe if they want, they can be able to change that solution and make sure that they are giving out a solution which is much better. In this next slide is the problem addressed. So I had to look for the problem that my users were facing. So the problem that was there was difficulty in utilizing their personal health record system. So out of that, I was able to come up with a point of view. So the point of view was that patients at Laquare DCID Hospital, this is the hospital that I focused on, need to know how to navigate the menus in the personal healthcare record system because their personal data are getting lost and they are also consuming a lot of time utilizing the tool. So this was the problem that was supposed to be addressed. So in this part, it was all about the application of design thinking process in the creation of the solution. As I've told you about the problem that the people from Laquare DCID were facing. So I had to come up with a solution that can enable them to effectively use that system. So first of all, I say that they can bring out a training which can train those users on how to use that the personal health record, because not everyone knows about it, but through training they can be able to understand and then be able to understand it. That is what I can say. So as you can see, there is a prototype here. So we have developing learners objectives, designing training materials, developing training materials, implementation of the training, and then evaluating the training. So this is what we are supposed to do to make sure that they understand the personal health record system, because if not that, they will continue facing a lot of problems. So this was given to the end users, and then to improve it, so the ones with the box, they were used to after getting the feedback, they made sure that the improvements were there. So this is how it was applied. So on this slide, it's all about questions about the solution that need to be answered and their responses. So how frequently will this training be occurring? So this training will be occurring like twice a month. This was done because it will be able to consider all the users, because they also have time for other things. And then if it is done two times, this will enable them to still remember what they have been taught. And then, are there any new content that are going to be introduced? No new content will be introduced because they just need to know all about that health record. Who will be the trainers? So we'll employ other trainers who can direct them. Then how is the training going to be advertised to the patients? So we can post posters on the hospital building to make sure, and then there will be an incentive to make sure that most of them attend, or rather all of them. How is the follow-up going to be done? So after each training there will be like a short break, and then after that short break we will be sending them some surveys in which they can fill and give us their own feedback. So this will enable us to understand what their problem is. So this is my reflection of the experience with the design thinking process. So this process enabled me to understand the end user's needs. So I had to push aside my needs and just consider the needs of my end users. So another thing that this design thinking process helped me was that it helped me to come up with a point of view. A point of view, this means that what do I think the problem is after analyzing all the observation that I had. And then another thing was that it helped me to come up with a solution. So after brainstorming all the solution, I was able to come up with a solution which can be favorable for everyone. And then the other thing was knowing the improvements that can be made during test. So this was the test part. This one was after giving the feedback, it enabled me to know the improvements that I can make, or if there are any changes that can be made to make sure that they use it well. So I want to take you to a website tour and climb aboard. So the first page is the home page, obviously. So this one is all about introducing the hospital, Lakwari District Hospital. So this is the introduction. The home page just give an overview of that hospital. The next one is healthcare related issue. So for the healthcare related issue, this was supposed to explain what they were facing and what they were facing and how it can be solved. So this is why I mentioned the problem that they were facing. After brainstorming all the solution, now I came up with a prototype. So the prototype was supposed to be used by the end users so that you can be able to get feedback, or maybe if you can know that the solution had worked. So this prototype was used to do that. The next one is the blog post. So for the blog post is all about describing about the design thinking process. So we have empathize, define, ideate, prototype, test, and implement. So the blog post talks about that. I'm almost coming to an end, and here we have the references. So in this part, I've given you some references. If you have more questions, you can just come here and be able to know about all these things. So thank you so much for your attention. So this is the continuation of the reference, and this is the last reference list. So thank you so much for your attention. I was so happy to explain to you about these things. I hope you'll be able to apply it. Design thinking process is the one thing that can enable you to solve a problem in the right way. So if you are trying to solve a problem for others, make sure that you try to use design thinking process. So this will enable you to be able to understand each and everything. So thank you so much for your attention, and bye.